Hey guys, welcome back to the homestead. Today's video is going to be about canning ground beef. So I've got my outdoor frying station set up, and I'll turn the camera around and show you guys that in a second. But yeah, we're going to be frying some ground beef, and then later I'm going to show you the steps to canning it safely using a pressure canner. So stick around. So step one is frying the ground beef. So I've got my outdoor little plug-in burner here and a good old cast iron frying pan, and I'm keeping the flies off, and we will be frying this up, and then when I'm done with it I'll put it in here until I fried all the hamburger that I need to fry. Sorry for the noise, but it's late at night and I'm running the laundry. Okay, so we got our ground beef all fried, and as you can see there's quite a bit of grease in it. So what I do is I fill up this pot with water and bring it to a boil, and then we will spoon the grease off, and to make sure that the ground beef is not greasy when we put it in the jar, because the grease in the jar can make the jar lid not seal. So we want to make sure that it's as lean as it possibly can be. So this is my all-American pressure canner that I've had for a couple of years, and we're going to fill it partway up with water and get that water heating up so that when we put our hot jars into hot water with all our ground beef in it, that it will come to a boil quickly. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to scoop out our ground beef from our pot, and we're going to fill this jar up to the collar of the jar, which I'll show you guys what that is in a minute if you're unfamiliar with what the collar is. So it'll probably take about 3 ladlefuls of ground beef to do it. This is a pint jar. So there we go. And then I've got to grab a clean spoon from the drawer. What I do is just tamp the meat down just a little bit. You don't want to pack it in there too tight, but you just want to make sure that it's not loosey-goosey either, because you want to fit as much meat in the jar as you can, right? So we're just going to put a tiny bit more. There we go. We'll pack that down just a little bit. Alright, we'll remove this. Okay, so if you can see here, this ring here is the collar of the jar. So we want our meat to be below the collar of the jar, and you can see there's already some liquid in the jar. But then what we're going to do is we're going to fill up from the shoulder of the jar here kind of to this collar, and then that will be the proper headspace. So what you want is 1 inch of headspace on each jar that you do. So now we fill up the jar. There we go. It just takes a very small amount of water to fill up that jar. So you can see now that that's right up to there. Take your vinegar cloth, wipe our rim of our jar, and then we will put the lid on. And you want to seal this 2 fingers and your thumb around the jar tight. So like you don't want to really weld that lid on, or this seal will buckle when it starts to boil in the canner and pop the lid off, and then your ground beef will be all wasted inside the canner. So two finger tight. There, we've got all of our jars in the canner, and as you can see it's almost coming to a boil. So we're going to get the lid tightened down, and I'll show you guys that, and then we are going to start getting it pressured up and ready to cook. When you seat your lid on the canner, you want to make sure that the arrow lines up with the notch. You also want to make sure that this space that I'm showing between my fingers is even on each of the wing nut holders all the way around the canner. Next, we want to make sure that we get the wing nuts tightened down good and tight with a nice even space by doing the ones across from each other as you work your way around the canner. So once your canner starts spewing steam like this, you let it steam like that to vent for 10 minutes, and then you put the weight on. When your canner is up to pressure, your weight's going to jiggle like this between 1 and 4 times a minute. Our 75 minutes is up, and we're going to turn off the heat to the stove, and then I'm going to let this pressure come all the way down to 0 before I touch anything. Alright, our pressure is back to 0, which means we can remove the weight now. If you remove the weight before the pressure gets to 0, all of the boiling water from inside of the canner will spew out of this hole, so you absolutely cannot unscrew the wing nuts or take this weight off until you are absolutely sure that the pressure gauge is at 0. No steam. Perfect. Alright, now that we have opened our steam vent, we can start taking the wing nuts off. Be careful because this canner is still very hot. To open this canner lid, you're going to have to give it a turn to the right to get this little hook out from underneath that lip, and then you're going to open the lid away from yourself so that you don't burn yourself with the hot steam, because these jars, I guarantee you, are still boiling inside of this canner. Here's our first look inside the canner. You can see that the meat is still boiling in the jars, and we're going to take the jars out and set them on the towel. Pick them up very straight and carefully. Don't bump them, don't tilt them. And then you're going to set them down on the nice dry towel. So we'll do the rest of these. So you can see that these are still boiling, and they may boil for hours on this towel before they start to cool enough. You can hear the seals are popping. They're starting to suck the lid down. That's a good sign. And we'll check the seals and everything tomorrow in the morning, and we will just leave these jars until they're completely cool. Hey everybody. During the editing of this video, I realized that there's a lot of need-to-know information that I kind of missed while I was going through the steps. And so what I want to do is direct you over to Homesteading Family's YouTube page, and I'm going to put a link to the video that Carolyn did in the description below this video. And it is actually a super great resource that I used when I was learning to can, because sometimes the book just doesn't give you the same information as a video. So definitely head over there and check out her really in-depth video if you're running out to buy a pressure canner and do this yourself. The last thing I'm going to leave you with is why you would want to can your ground beef. Because it is shelf stable, meaning you can just pop the top on the jar, it's fully cooked on the inside, and you can just literally eat it cold if you were ever in a situation where you had to do that. The second reason that you would want to have ground beef in a jar like this on your shelf is because of convenience. You can literally just pop that jar open, make lasagna, make spaghetti sauce, make beef stroganoff. You can use it in so many ways. You can fry it up with taco seasoning and make taco meat. Like, it is so versatile. So it is faster and easier than running to the grocery store and grabbing a pound of ground. Hey guys, thanks for tagging along today. If you found this video helpful, please consider subscribing. Also, if you're looking for more great cooking tutorials, we have a good video on the best key lime pie you can find on the internet, as well as some home-style biscuits. So you can click the links, I'll have them in the screen somewhere here. Alright, take care, and hope to see you in the next one.